Top story this evening, President Moon Jae-in is set to sit down with his American counterpart Donald Trump in Washington, with Moon playing mediator. Tuesday's make-or-break talks come as Trump's inner circle are becoming more and more skeptical about whether the June 12th North Korea-U.S. summit in Singapore will or even should go ahead amid the recent harsh rhetoric out of Pyongyang. Our chief Blue House correspondent Moon Connyoung, who is travelling with the South Korean leader, files this report from Washington, D.C.
Having traveled 14 hours across the Pacific with his top security aides and the press corps, South Korean President Moon Jae-in is now in Washington, D.C. on a two-day visit. It's already the evening hours here in the U.S. East Coast, so he's basically flown across the globe for a 3-hour meeting at midday on Tuesday in what was originally arranged as a meeting to fine-tune a joint strategy in dealing with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, but what's since become a crisis management session since North Korea last week threatened to pull out of a planned June 12th Singapore summit. Forget the pomp and the pageantry. This is strictly business. 3 weeks before an unprecedented North Korea-U.S. summit is supposed to take place, President Moon will meet with the U.S. counterpart on Tuesday as U.S. officials try to figure out whether Pyongyang is serious about negotiating a deal on denuclearization. The South Korean president led efforts to resume dialogue with North Korea, and his government's enthusiastic accounts of its encounters with the North Kim had spurred Mr. Trump to accept an offer of a never-before-seen meeting between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader. So both Seoul's presidential Blue House and the White House appeared off guard when, in a dramatic change of tone, North Korea last week threw into doubt the summit with Trump. President Trump has insisted he remains committed to the summit, but U.S. Vice President Mike Pence warned on Monday that Mr. Trump was willing to walk away from the meeting and that North Korea should not attempt to seek concessions for promises it did not intend to keep. It's against this backdrop that the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. meet at the White House for a private one-on-one with only their interpreters in attendance. Speaking to the presidential press pool aboard Air Force One on the way to Washington, President Moon's chief national security advisor Kim Jong-un said the two sides had decided to do away with protocol and formality of the usual summit. There are no planned scenarios or pre-written scripts. None of the aides have any idea what the leaders will say or what will come out of the meeting. But experts in the U.S. say President Moon will need to convince President Trump to stay the course, reassuring him that direct talks with North Korea can still be the success he once promised Mr. Trump they would be. Moon Connyoung, Arirang News, Washington.